Alright guys, we're back for week 3, and today is pressing day. If you caught the last video, you know I had a solid deadlift session where the real challenge was conditioning. Today, we're shifting gears. If you think strongman is all about moving weight from point A to point B with brute force, you're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Today we're diving into the bodybuilding style of things, where we're going to talk about why the pump, the squeeze, and the stretch is just as important for strength athletes as heavy singles. If you find these form tips and deeper dives into training theory helpful, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel and tells me what kind of content you want to see more of. Now let's get into this workout. First up with strict press. I'm doing sets of 4 at 155 pounds. Much like the last deadlift session, this felt like another easy, productive session. I was taking less than 2 minutes of rest between sets, which keeps the pace up and gets some good volume in without creating too much fatigue. The strategy here is to use the strict press as a primer for the central nervous system and to build shoulder strength without pre-exhausting the primary movers that I need for my heavier pressing exercise of the day, bench press. After overhead work, we moved on to the bench. I did 3 sets of 8 at 295 pounds. This weight has started to feel pretty comfortable at this rep range. It means I'm adapting and getting stronger. So I'm already thinking of how to change it up next week so that I can keep the progress coming. The big technical focus for me on bench press is always my elbow position. I'm making sure to keep my elbows tucked about a 45-degree angle. For anyone watching, flaring your elbows out like this on bench press is one of the fastest ways to risk shoulder impingement. Tucking your elbows in at the 45-degree angle not only helps protect your shoulders, but also allows you to engage your lats to have a more stable base against the bench and uses the larger, more powerful pec muscles more effectively. It's just a safer and stronger way to bench. This is where the theme of the day really comes into play. After the main strength work, the focus shifted more of a hypertrophy focus, building muscle. First was an incline dumbbell press. I intentionally use a lower weight on this exercise because the goal isn't moving the heaviest dumbbells possible. The goal is to control the eccentric, the lowering portion of the lift, and getting a deep pause and stretch at the bottom. This is where you create microscopic tears in the muscle that lead to growth. I can tell you the last half of the final set always has my chest absolutely screaming at me. From there, it was more of a shoulder and upper chest workout with dumbbell front raises. A really common mistake you see with this exercise is people bending their elbows to make the weight feel lighter. And when it feels lighter, it becomes easier to lift. It's a form of cheating that takes attention off the target muscle. I have to constantly remind myself to keep my arms long and straight, especially at the top of the lift. This discipline is what isolates the anterior deltoid and makes the exercise effective. Finally, we finish the pressing movements with tricep pushdowns. And the pump that I get from these is absolutely insane. This is what we were chasing today. The session wasn't over though. We moved on to dead hangs for grip and shoulder health. My experience with these is always inconsistent. My first set is always my personal best, at least for the current phase. But after that, the sets seem to become completely random. This session, I had a set where my grip just wasn't having it. It felt like someone flipped a switch and I failed after only 5 seconds. Of course, I took some extra rest and redid the set, but it is a humbling and realistic part of training. But here's where an interesting thing happened. After tricep pushdowns, my arms, chest, and shoulders were so pumped that I could barely reach back to actually feel the pump that I had going in my own triceps. What I'm about to talk about is a classic problem for strength athletes. You focus so much on building strength and muscle that your functional mobility takes a nosedive. Perfect illustration of why dedicated mobility and flexibility work is completely non-negotiable no matter what level of strength you are. The muscle you build is only useful through the range of motion that you have. This is a great point to open up a discussion. How do you guys incorporate mobility into your training? Drop your favorite stretches, your go-to routines, or any tips you have in the comments below. We finished the day with some rear delt flies. This is a pure shoulder health and prehab work for me. I focus on making the movement perfectly symmetrical instead of having one arm going higher than the other, and making sure I'm pulling both dumbbells to the same spot, ensuring a balance and stability to cap off the session. The Strongman-Bodybuilder Paradox. To the outside world, strongman is about lifting cars and stones, heavy weight, but to get strong enough to do that, you do have to build the muscle and the structure required to handle those insane loads and prevent injuries. The detailed focus on eccentrics, pauses, pumps, and mind-muscle connection isn't just vanity work, it's a deliberate strategy to build a bigger, more resilient foundation. Bigger muscles have a higher potential to be stronger muscles, and this targeted accessory work is how we shore up the weak links. And that comment about not being able to reach my own triceps, that's more than just a funny anecdote. It points to the double-edged sword of the pump. It's a direct link between successful hypertrophy training and a potential decrease in mobility. It creates a tension in your training. The very thing that helps you, more muscle, can actually hinder you if it's not managed with stretching and soft tissue work. What if that tightness prevented a proper rack position for any sort of overhead work? Or the lack of mobility compromised my stability when having the bar overhead? It's a powerful reminder that training doesn't just end with the last rep. You have to take a holistic approach to athlete development. All right, that's a wrap on this big pressing and pump day. We moved some good weight, but more importantly, we worked on building muscle that's going to support the bigger weights down the line. Remember, competing in strongman doesn't mean you're just a strongman. You're an athlete. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time for squat day.